Hello, welcome to the EP7 podcast. You are here with Rachel Donovan and the founder of EP7, Mr. George Helou.
Thanks, Rachel, and thank you for joining us. We love talking about how to get the heart into everything we do to get a lot out of life.
Whether it be relationships, business, careers, you name it. So, let's get started. So, George, we're going to talk about... I was like, can we be bothered to do this tonight? Can you be bothered? I don't know.
I feel so lazy.
So that was our really subtle hint that we're going to be discussing procrastination or laziness in this podcast. Why are we lazy? What are the reasons behind it? Why do we procrastinate? Are we just inherently lazy people?
Yeah, that's what I hear all the time, Rach. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just lazy. I'm just a lazy person. Or, oh, he's lazy. Like, it's like, really? That's it? Label? Finish? We now know? It's a funny thing not to go deeper than that.
That it's just used as a superficial throwaway excuse?
Yeah, a judgment. Mm-hmm. That person's just inherently lazy. What can you do?
What if I had to say, oh, no, I'm just lazy? Does that mean I'm just making it okay that I didn't want to do something?
Yeah. Yeah, you're actually...
Is that okay to do that?
Well, does that mean you're no longer going to be a productive member of society? You've ruled yourself out of that equation? Because is that okay? I'm just lazy. Sorry, boss. Sorry, customer. I'm just lazy. I told you I'd get it done by this time, but I'm lazy.
Yeah, that would fly really well. So is it more that we have periods of procrastination? Maybe it depends on what task it is that we procrastinate more about, you know?
You know, this detox is really affecting your pronunciation, isn't it? It's like when people say you're slurring your words.
No, do you know what?
No.
I think I have been slurring my words because I feel quite fatigued on this detox. So I apologise.
Oh, how good is that? You're actually fatigued and feeling naturally lazy. So firstly, sometimes we're legitimately lazy because the body's fatigued. That makes sense. But, you know, mostly it's an excuse to judge someone or push yourself down. But there is a benefit before we go into that. I find lazy people, in other words, people who don't like to do boring, mundane things, they innovate better. They end up inventing stuff to achieve something quickly with less effort. And it's people who are too eager to be busy and, you know, the blood, sweat and tears is a kind of like a trophy of look at me, look at my work ethic. I was raised like that. And yeah, it's those people that don't actually look for a better way because they're getting too much reward for doing it the long way. They feel satisfied, like, look at me.
What about someone like me who, depending on what I've got in front of me, some things I'll jump on and get done because I enjoy them. Things like doing my tax, for example, even though surely it's a good thing, so I'm going to be getting some money back usually. But I still haven't done it. I'm procrastinating. So, I've got to get these receipts. I've got to add them up. I've got to chase this certificate. And I just procrastinate.
Yeah, that's because you don't value the outcome.
I don't value the cash incentive. That's terrible.
No, what I mean is you want the money, but you don't value the amount of work it takes to get the money. You're on a seesaw and there's no tipping point. Now, if suddenly there was a holiday or something really cool you wanted to buy and it was about the money you knew equal to the tax check, the passion would burn in you, and suddenly you tear through that work and make it happen. I recall one of my clients said to me, every time I go to entertain buying a new car because I can afford it, I think to myself, if I'm going to buy this car, I need that garage built. And if I'm going to build that garage, I'm going to have to sort out the stuff that already exists in this other area to clear it and sort that out. And he goes, George, by the time I finish looking at the knock-on effect of everything that has to happen for me to get that car. I couldn't be stuffed. So I turned around and I said to him, all right, I'll tell you what. Go and test drive the cars. Start looking at them. Because if you let the emotion turn on, it's like emotional entanglement, you know? When you become emotionally that invested in something, suddenly you've got the stomach to handle whatever's in the way. But if you don't increase the desire, then of course the obstacles are going to be insurmountable. So you definitely want to do that. And so laziness in part is the payoff is not good enough to be bothered. And then I think what's linked to that, Rachel, is procrastination is also coming from a sense of, oh gosh, I'm probably going to make mistakes. Oh gosh, I'm probably going to do it wrong. I'm going to fail. And therefore now it's not just a reward that's waiting for you. It's humiliation. It's disaster. And then so people go, oh, you know, you're being lazy. But the poor person is freaking out on the inside without being that conscious of the fact that they are. And so that's why I think I was so passionate to cover this issue of laziness, because we're not inherently lazy. We're not.
Interesting.
Did you honestly think that there were people that were inherently lazy? Gosh, I didn't figure you to be this judgmental. I have to reframe now and see you in that light. I don't mean to be,
but I just think there's some people that have lower motivation than others, and I'm not judging them for it, but there are definitely, I see more people around that are so motivated and so proactive, and there are a lot of people that have more just of maybe a melancholy feel, and they're just happy to just do as little as possible. And I'm not judging them for it.
Yeah, no, look, I get that. But there's something that's making that happen. That's the point. So if someone is like that for months, years, half a lifetime, it's because the way they see the world, they can't put themselves out there. And if they do, it's just taxing for them. It's almost like they're super sensitive to criticism, and it's like having bruised skin. And then anyone who says, oh no, that needs to change, you haven't done that right, it's as if you've just touched them on a bruise. It's like, So they then learn the brain conditions to cruise at very low altitude. And it's a protection mechanism. And therefore we see it and we're rightly able to go, you are being lazy. In other words, you're not motivated to do things that are important, to get out there. You're lazy. Yes, technically they're lazy, but their identity, who they really are, is hijacked away from their innate, good-natured spirit that wants to do great things. And unfortunately, whatever things happen in their life or however they were raised, perfectionism can be a big issue in that department. You get someone that goes to write, for example. They're going to write, but they're already criticizing their first sentence and editing it. And you know what they're waiting for, Rach? They're waiting for the sentence to become perfect. And there's no such thing as perfection, especially one sentence. Like, how the hell is that sentence going to deliver any value when really your writing should be about a sentence being a very small piece of a puzzle, and it's how all the sentences create, a beautiful flow. But when the person's editing before they're creating, they're destroying before they've even created something worth chiseling. Make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot of perfectionists could easily appear lazy only because they preempt the hardship of trying to create something or do something. So when someone says that person's just lazy, go, yeah, but for a reason. Do you know the reasons? Do they know the reasons? And if you don't know the reasons, at least assume there are reasons. And if you do that, then you're not going to be tempted to label people. And also, you could probably have more meaningful conversations with them about why. So why do you hold back? I don't know. I just couldn't be bothered, right? I just couldn't be bothered. Yeah, but do you know why you couldn't be bothered? And before you know it, that conversation's going to start to bubble the reasons, and you'll appreciate that they are literally scared and doubting themselves, and they're avoiding what they think is something that's going to hurt them if they put themselves out there, making themselves vulnerable, standing for an opinion, creating an art piece or whatever that now is open to judgment. It's like when you and I were talking a while ago about poetry, and you brought up, you wrote a poem for your granddad, right? And because it was for your granddad, you had no pressure on needing it to win an award, and you just allowed it to flow, and it was just coming from a nice, loving place. Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
But generally, you would have given yourself a hard time, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly what happened there, Rach, but did you catch yourself feeling a little bit nervous when everybody else wanted to read it?
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to.
Yeah. So if you were told to write a poem for people to enjoy at a party, everyone was going to read it, and it was meant to be a poem to help them in some way, I don't know whether you would have allowed yourself to bother with that. You only did it because you loved your grandpa that much. Isn't that the reason?
Yeah.
See, your desire to honor someone you loved and admired that much made you push through the fear of obstacles like judgments and stuff like that. I'm glad I was able to use one of your examples without your permission.
But I really admire people that are really sort of proactive and they just don't procrastinate. Like my boss is one of them. If something needs to be done, she just goes, I'll do it right now. I'll call them right now. And she's not like, I'll do it later. She's just, I'll just do it now. I'll just do it now. And she's extremely productive, and she just really just gets in there and gets things done so quickly.
Well, I do admire that too. And I think we deserve to be that flexible when this ability just to go, you know what? I've cooked this to the best that I can. I'm sure if I pontificated for another 35 years, I could probably improve it another 2%. But I think I'd rather find out what works, what doesn't with real life experience. How about I run with it and back myself to fix it as I go? I think that's a very good attitude to the best of what you can perceive on something that you're doing, and then let life talk to you. It offers the full spectrum of feedback, and it will stop you wasting your time spending a lot of your effort on what if nonsense that might not ever eventuate in 100 years. But because your brain can be imaginative and entertain unlimited what ifs, you're there exerting time, energy, resources on perfecting something and never really finishing it. And I know there's a lot of people creating beautiful things behind closed doors. And people think they're lazy, but they're too afraid to bring out what they've been working on, whether it's writing, music, whatever. Look, I have a friend, and I'm not going to tell you who it is. It's not you. It's not like I'm having a dig right. You're a friend. Sorry, I didn't mean that. I have a friend who, as far as I'm concerned, they are such a musical talent, it's not funny. And they're too perfectionistic. And over the weekend, my daughter said, oh, how's such and such? And I said, oh, good. And then she brought up something about music. And I said, well, Holly, what I want you to know is that this person has got so much talent, more than me. I've seen them with music. There's so much talent. But before they even start to compose and create, they're already criticizing in their head. So therefore, they never really get to finish anything. And that's sad because I know they've got a lot of talent and potential. And then when I spoke to that person that day, I told him what I told my daughter, and he agreed with me. He actually agreed with me. I hope in some way I stir, that in them. But this is a big problem in our society. I believe we're all meant to be innately entrepreneurial and creative and gifting each other beautiful experiences, from innovating cake, baking, to inventing things to ride that are different, from hoverboards or whatever. Like the experiences are endless, and we're all designed to be that. And I don't think any of us would be lazy if we gave ourselves permission to create and learn, to evolve what we're creating through the experience of criticism and setbacks. And on that note, I think we should land the plane.
That's right. Inspiring us to honour our laziness when it's right, and otherwise to be productive and get stuff done.
Yeah. There are lots of benefits to being lazy, like innovation, but honour it to know why you're lazy, and therefore you can be set free from the nonsense that's keeping you that way.
Sure. Thanks for listening to our EP7 podcast. We will chat to you very soon.
Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on another EP7 podcast. If you liked what you heard, remember to share and subscribe so you're notified of every podcast released. If you have any questions or would like to connect with us, please jump on the EP7 official Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you.